Good afternoon. It's me again. I'm going to try in just a few minutes in a short video to draw an analogy that hopefully could make it clear if it's not already clear. And if you disagree with my analogy, please let me know how and why. In my personal situation, I have been married this month 29 years, but over 6 years ago, I was cast away from my husband because I stood up to something that I believed was an intrusion in my marriage and was unrighteous, including specifically some lies. I was told I was on the wrong tree, and I was told I had to leave my home, or minimally that I can't live with my husband anymore. That was the solution to me trying to address intrusion in my marriage and unrighteousness, including lies. This has not been repaired, and the younger generation, namely my children, but also others, are being adversely affected to this day. This week, and I will just use pronoun of they to not expose which my son or my daughter said this, but one of my children told me this week that they told their therapist they don't think they can have a healthy relationship of their own until their parents' relationship is resolved in one way or the other, but until there's closure, because they are so psychologically impacted by the fact that they have been in limbo and I have been in limbo for over 6 years now. And they were both teenagers when this started. They're both in their their mid-20s now. Okay, that is in a nutshell my situation, my immediate situation with my nuclear family, and then that also has been intruded upon by my in-laws. Okay, in my church community, for decades now, brothers and sisters have spoken up about abuse, about unrighteousness, about lies. The way this has been handled by those with more power has been to cast those people out of the church, to tell them that they are banned from meetings, to call them rebellious, to smear them, to not allow them to fellowship. There has been no pathway for neither me nor for those brothers and sisters to be restored to their church community. They have just been labeled in awful ways, poisonous, men of death, whatever, and quarantined, ostracized, excommunicated, that kind of thing. There's been no attempt to restore. There's been no pathway for reconciliation given that is actionable for them. Many of these have died now. They were older. Some have died by suicide. Well, one particular younger one died by suicide after this type of treatment was imposed on him and his wife. There have been many, many losses, many casualties. I am asking that both in my personal situation, if anybody has any power to restore and to give a pathway to reconciliation, or to legal separation in a timely way. This has gone on way too long. The abuse has got to stop. If anyone has power or influence enough in my situation to grant closure to my children and to me, please do so in a timely way. If anybody has any level of influence in the Lord's recovery in the local churches to grant closure to people who have been ostracized, quarantined, excommunicated, banned, whatever it is, and if they're still alive, I'm asking you please to grant that way for restoration and reconciliation, or to give legal closure, whatever that may be. Otherwise, the younger generation will, just as my son and daughter have, they will suffer extensively. And it won't just stop with their generation. It will be multi-generational. And it already is. There already are multiple generations, even in my situation alone, that are suffering. My mother, who's a widow, my in-laws, I know they're suffering because the lack of reconciliation is a suffering, whatever quote side you're on. To me, there are no sides here, but there is the need for reconciliation, both in my situation personally and in my family, and then in the situation in, quote, the Lord's recovery / the local churches. Please stop ostracizing. Please stop punishing people for confronting abuse, for confronting unrighteousness, for confronting lies. If any of us that you have ostracized or that you are punishing have spoken a lie, please name what it is and let us know how we can repair. Otherwise, please let us back in to the church community if any of us want to be part of that church community. For me and for my children right now, there's way too much trauma. Both my son and I agreed today that we would physically probably throw up if we tried to go to one of the gatherings at this point. There's too much trauma. But I'm not judging you for that. There's so many wounds right now, and it shouldn't be that way. There should be care, shepherding, reconciliation, healing, repentance. Reprove me, please, if I'm doing something that's unscriptural, and if I'm lying or anything. Please reprove me in a way to recover me. And those who have been reproved, please know that it's because we want fellowship. We want things to be addressed. We being any of us who have stood up to leaders in the church or leaders in my family. We want restoration, especially for the sake of the younger generation. And if the Lord tarries, the following generation. This chaos has to stop. Thanks for listening. Much love to all of you.